Facts are facts. Climate change is the biggest reason for biodiversity loss. More than 1,500 marine animals are faced with extinction because of habitat loss, changing food sources, oil drilling, plastic pollution, as we talked about, and it's about 10% of all marine species. Now, without that important biodiversity, our food, medicine, and economy hang in that balance.
Yeah, that's why now, more than ever, we need scientists to navigate these changes in our marine ecosystem. But marine science hasn't always been the most diverse field.
We are excited to talk to a woman who is changing that. Dr. Tiara Moore is the founder of Black in Marine Science, joining us now to talk a lot about this. So thank you for joining us first off. We love the big, bright smile you have. Kind of break down what is Black in Marine Science exactly?
Yeah, alrighty. So hey, y'all, I'm Tiara. And Black in Marine Science is a nonprofit organization. I have to say 501c3 now because that's so important for the people, so we're excited to get that. But it's really aimed to celebrate Black marine scientists, spread environmental awareness, and inspire that next generation of scientific thought leaders. As I always say, our main goal is to really change the face of who people see as scientists, but also increasing ocean literacy in the most impacted communities.
Dr. Moore, let's talk more about that. So talk more about how diversity in marine science actually helps conservation efforts.
Oh, that is a question that I get a lot. What is the need, for diversity? And I think it's because of who is impacted. Everybody, to be honest. If you think about the things you were talking about, climate change, plastic pollution, it impacts every one of us. But there are certain people who are generally Black, who live in different areas of the community who are more impacted. And so we don't have an education or ocean literacy for folks to understand what's going on in the ocean, and they're being impacted by things like sea level rise because they're living in a flood zone and not even knowing it. That's really dangerous. So the whole goal of BIMS is to really increase that ocean literacy, get folks to just understand what's happening in the environment, in the ecosystem, and then provide resources for them to do either get in the field themselves or do things like cleanups or become scuba divers or be able to increase education in their own communities.
Sometimes we kind of become interested in subjects because of someone else. Like their love for it is so infectious that then we have to love it
we have
because
curiosity.
You love it so much. So you have this very much excitement when it comes to ocean and talking about all of that. But what actually started your interest in marine science to begin with?
So it was actually an undergrad. So I went to undergrad at Winthrop University in South Carolina, and I was there pre-med. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician because of the Cosby Show. And I realized I didn't actually want to keep working with kids like that. So I was like, oh no, I'm in biology. What do I do? And so I took this tropical ecology course, and I'll be honest, I only took it because they were going to Costa Rica for spring break. So I was like, ooh. It was like free trip. But then I got there and we were on a boat and we were collecting water samples and doing these little mini experiments, and the water was changing the color if you put a chemical in it and had pollution. And I was like, what? And there were senior scientists there. And I'm like, are y'all getting paid? Is this a real job? And I think that's when I first found out about marine science as a field, as a career, as something that you could do. And I came back from that experience and said, hey, I'm going to be a marine scientist. And so, yeah, I applied to grad school, and I've been doing that ever since.
Yeah, all the way up to your PhD, Dr. Moore, I might add. So you are trying, yes, thank you, yes. You really want to inspire kids to go into STEM, whether it's marine biology or something else. So why is that mission so important to you?
I would say because marine science is lit, but because we need more scientists. And I would say during my journey, getting the PhD and just having a curiosity about science, I was met with a lot of barriers, just aggressions, just behaviors, because I was oftentimes the only Black person in the room. I was the only person, who looked like me in these spaces. And when people aren't used to you being there, I guess, they can treat you a certain way. And so that was very disappointing because I'm just trying to be a scientist. Why are people treating me differently? And so I realized, well, there's a lack of numbers. So how can we get more folks in the room with me? And I think we have to show kids that they can be what they can see. Just like me, I didn't know marine science existed as a kid. So what if I would have? So what if a kid sees me now whoa, we can do that, I want to go be like her. So that's why it's just really important just to have more folks who look like us to be able to inspire these kids so they can be those scientific leaders that we need to be able to fix this mess that we're in. Like you said, talking about we have plastic in our stomachs. Like we need a lot of people to be able to help fight that. So
I'm feeling inspired. I'm like, can I change my job? I'm ready to go out with you, Dr. Moore.
We know how fun science can be, but I think for these kids too, you hear that word and you might not think it's fun, whether it's just because you're in a school setting. But I mean, how do we get the interest sparked in some of these kids? Maybe it's like we just offer free trips for part of the curriculum, and then they're like, whoa, this is cool.
I think it is, and it's also changing the narrative. It's funny, like when we started this Marine Sciences Lit campaign, it was like, oh, something funny I just said. But then I was like, actually, no, we need to change how marine science is looked at. I think for a while, it's like, oh, marine science is lame. Like, oh, you're a nerd if you do science, it's not cool. But what if you're like, no, I'm a scuba diver. I get paid to go work on an island. I'm good. And just really show people that this is something you could be cool. You can be your authentic self. You don't have to give up anything. And I think that's what was missing for a long time. Even in my own career, I didn't maybe show up with my hair out or things like that. But I had to find my space for myself and say, hey, I can be Black in marine science. And that's fine. I don't have to change. Since I think that's what I want to show everybody.
That's right.
Dr. Tiara Moore, founder and CEO of Black in Marine Science. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we love you just as your authentic self. I mean, the energy, it's completely, like I said, I'm ready to go out with her. Let's go. Forget